Hi, I'm Liz Carter, and I'm presenting the paper called Death of a Robot, Social Media Reactions and Language Usage When a Robot Stops Operating. This paper was co-authored with Sam Reig, Z Tan, Gierad Laput, Stephanie Rosenthal, and Aaron Steinfeld. This research project was inspired by the end of the Mars Opportunity Rover mission, OPI for short, in February of 2019 after more than 15 years. The image shown here is a composite image of photos taken of the rover by the rover while it was on Mars and is called a self-portrait by NASA. Upon hearing that NASA had given up trying to contact the unresponsive robot and decided to end the mission, many people expressed sadness on social media. For example, Twitter user at OEWF said, "After weeks of trying to revive OPI, NASA has given up on ever hearing from it again. 15 years and more than 45 kilometers across the Martian surface. Hashtag thanks OPI for all the discoveries, science, and wonderful images, and for all the lessons learned about Mars. You will be missed." User AL Cyclist said, "Take care, little buddy, and congratulations to your family back here on Earth that kept you going for so long. You'll be a permanent reminder of their dedication." User Seacoat Tech said, "It feels like losing a friend. Thank you, Appy, for all you shared." And user Sarnoel said, "I'm literally sobbing." I hope that Sarnoel did not also own a Jibo. So you can see that there's quite a variety of responses. I studied psychology, not robotics originally, and I was too old to have learned about Appy in school. So for me, the response was reading a couple of articles and thinking that it was a bummer, and then realizing how many people seemed distraught on social media. To me, it looked like a famous celebrity died, which I thought was pretty interesting for a robot. 2018 and 2019 were tough times for a number of robotics companies. It was announced that two social home robots, Jibo and Curry, were no longer going to be produced. Also, Anki and Rethink Robotics went out of business. For me, this raised a question. What happens when robots stop working? I wanted to look at people's responses. First, what vocabulary can we and do we use for these phenomena? We could refer to it as the end of the robot's lifespan, its retirement, its shutdown, or even its death, although in that case it's unclear if the battery is temporarily dead or if the robot is permanently dead. Second, how people respond to the end of a robot could provide interesting insight into how we think about robots, which is important in a future where robots are more ubiquitous. Previously, there has been significant behavioral research on how and when people anthropomorphize robots. Overall, a robot is not easily put into the categories of a person, animal, or artifact, but has intermediate treatment. Specifically, you might not put RoboV in a closet if it objects, but you also wouldn't give RoboV the right to vote. There's also a large body of work on how people use human-related language to describe non-humans, including animals, machines, and objects. This research suggests that anthropomorphic language is used on a scale of animacy. It includes pronoun usage, that is, using he or she or you versus it, among other topics. Also, linguistic research has shown some tendencies to describe robots with agency, mental states, and social standing. My observations in the previous research led our team to pose 3 research questions. 1. Can people distinguish social media posts about robots from posts about people and animals? 2. Do people use language that is traditionally used for humans, such as certain pronouns, when talking about robots? And 3. Do posts about the Mars Opportunity rover differ from posts about other robots? We used Twitter data for this research. To collect tweets, we used the 2 most common hashtags and the official usernames to collect the first 5,000 or a week of tweets in English from North America after the appropriate announcements. As much as possible, we selected topics with similar numbers of tweets to API. We added Notre Dame as a topic to have a comparison that was also a significant cultural artifact. From the collection of tweets, we used up to 100 tweets for our categorization task and up to 5,000 for our linguistic analysis. For the categorization task, we used up to 100 tweets that we anonymized and cleaned for our 10 topics. 354 Mechanical Turk workers completed this task. Turkers were fluent English speakers from the US and Canada. They completed demographic questions and then had to classify a subset of the tweets and correctly answer some attention checks. An example of a cleaned and anonymized tweet for the task is, "Name, we love you and miss you so much, frowny face." followed by the prompt, this statement is most likely about A, a human, B, a robot, C, an animal, D, an object, or E, other. If they selected other, they had to fill in a blank for a proposed topic. Here, we have a figure showing how often tweets on a particular topic were categorized as being about a human, an animal, a robot, an object, or other. Tweets about humans were overwhelmingly correctly identified as being about a human. Tweets about animals were mostly identified as being about humans, followed by categorization as animals. Tweets about Jibo and Curry were still somewhat likely to be categorized as about a human, but Oppie tweets were significantly more likely to be categorized as about a human than the Jibo or Curry tweets. Finally, Notre Dame tweets were still mostly categorized as about a human, followed by about an object. For the linguistic analysis, we took our large tweet set and examined the use of pronouns, RIP or rest in peace, vector similarity in word usage across topics, unique words for each topic, and emoji usage. I will talk about the first 3 topics here. For the last 2, please refer to the paper. We counted the tweets that used he, him, or his, aggregated as he, she, her, or hers, and you, your, or yours for each topic and calculated proportions relative to the total number of pronouns used. Overall, the proportional usage of it followed the same pattern as prior work. Tweets about all non-living objects had a higher it usage than tweets about living beings. The proportion of tweets using you for opportunity was similar to that for the tweets about humans and animals and was approximately 20% more than for the tweets about Curry, Jibo, and Notre Dame. This provided evidence that Oppie is treated differently from other inanimate objects. When we looked at the usage of RIP and rest in peace, we found that they were most commonly employed when talking about humans and animals. Notably, we also found that these terms were used when talking about Oppie significantly more than for the other robots. We also examined the similarity in the tweet's overall content. We constructed a word vector with the TF-IDF value of each unique word in the corpus for each topic. We then calculated the cosine distance between each pair of topics' word vectors. The distance between each pair of topics is plotted as a confusion matrix here. The humans and cats were similar to each other. Jibo and Curry also had a very high similarity score. However, most topics were very dissimilar to Oppie. The closest ones are Jibo, Mac Miller, and Cameron Boyce. To summarize the results in terms of our original research questions, for research question 1, can people distinguish social media posts about robots from posts about people and animals? We found that they are not particularly good at this and default to categorizing every tweet as about a human. For research question 2, do people use language that is traditionally used for humans, such as certain pronouns, when talking about robots? Our findings corroborated that there is a scale of animacy for human pronoun use where they are used most for humans, followed by animals, robots, and objects. RIP was generally reserved for humans and animals. For research question 3, do posts about the Mars Opportunity rover differ from posts about other robots? We found that tweets about Oppie were more likely to be classified as about a human than Jibo or Curry tweets, and there was more usage of human pronouns in RIP for Oppie than for Jibo and Curry. In conclusion, our results on anthropomorphic language usage around death fit with other studies of anthropomorphism for robots and other categories. Additionally, our findings suggest that Oppie may be unique among robots and garner more anthropomorphism. This could result from widespread cultural awareness and educational initiatives and long-term exposure. Notably, Oppie is not a social robot that many people had ever interacted with in person, but it was anthropomorphized more than the 2 social robots. Future research could further examine these topics. We would like to thank Lynn Charabo for feedback on our manuscript, our research participants, and our funding from NSF, NIDLR, and NASA. Thank you for listening.